Welcome to the Business Interview. I'm Marcus Carlson. Greece is in a race to clean up its finances. As part of that, it's pledged to sell off and privatise everything from rail services to the lottery monopoly. All in all, Greece has pledged to sell off 19 billion euros worth of state assets by 2015. But it took until September before the agency in charge struck its first deal this year. The company LAMDA Development agreed to pay 81 million euros to lease a former Olympic venue that now serves as a shopping centre. Joining us for more is the chief executive of that company, Odysseas Athanasio. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Athanasio, for speaking to us. Now, Greece is going through a tough crisis, but you are making this investment nonetheless. Why is that?
Okay, first of all, I want to thank you for me being here. It was a very important decision for us at this environment to commit an investment. It had strategic importance to us because we already have a shopping center which is located in the premise that we bought, at least in the front part of the premise. The back part is something we're going to develop and be a complementary use to our shopping center. Second, we believe it was a financially sound investment. But third, and this is equally important to us, it was a decision by the Latsis group, the Latsis family, to show the support for the Greek economy and the transformation we're going through now, at the point that we look determined finally to go ahead with new investments and a friendliness towards the enterprising and the investing from both locally and the international community as well.
Now, you obviously feel that this deal is a good one, but do you think then that Greece is selling out its assets cheaply or at this stage?
I'll tell you what I think. I think that probably most of the assets would be more expensive 3 or 5 years ago, definitely, when the economy was booming, for whatever reason it was booming anyway. But I think that a year from now, probably the assets wouldn't sell for nothing. And the reason is, if we don't go ahead with major changes in showing that enterprising is a good thing, privatizations are a good thing, we will not have any investments. And investments is the only tool, the only solution at this stage that we are now to create new employment and to create the psychology needed for an economy to start up again.
Now, you say that privatization deals, they're a good thing, but your deal was the first privatization deal this year. Why has it taken so long to get this process off the ground, in your view?
There are two reasons. One is that it is true that there were many legal and technical obstacles that have to do with the releasing of the titles, especially in real estate privatization, and many legal complications that have been created with the years in anything owned by the government or by the state. The other reason is that probably determination was not at the point that it is today. We have seen in the last 2 months, and I hope I'm right in this, a real determination by the government, by the Prime Minister and some key members of the cabinet to go ahead not only with privatizations, but with the reforms that the economy needs desperately in order to change the way we operate. So that's my answer why it took so long, and my answer that why we hope things are going to be different in the future.
Now, the international creditors of Greece, they've been fairly unhappy about the fact that it has taken so long. You're now telling us that you see real evidence that there is a real determination in Greece to actually start this privatization process for real.
I see signs. I can tell you that over the last 30 years, we created a bad environment here for businesses and for investing and for the private sector to operate, which has resulted to the well-known results that the Greek economy is facing today. At the same time, to make things worse, in the last 2.5 years, we did everything we could to lose credibility at an international level. Now, on top of these two factors, we have what I believe a real desire to show a different face. I see signs of a determination. You already said we had finally the first privatization. We have the lottery company, OPAP, that is for privatization in the next 2-3 months. We have the railway company also to come for privatization, and many others. And at the same time, we see key members of the cabinet. The finance minister is one of them, and the Minister of Development is another one of them, to show that they are friendly for investments, that they want to change. But at this moment, unfortunately, we have a third problem, which is a very, very tough plan of 13.5 billion, mostly cuts in salaries and pensions, which unfortunately make the recession even worse, and they create not a liquidity crunch, but the death of liquidity. But anyway, it's our fault that we are here where we are today, so we have to show that we are ready to change, and I'm sure after we show this, not only signs, but real actions, we're going to also see a different cooperation from our international partners.
Now, you said that the privatization of the state-owned lottery monopoly is underway, but there's been a lot of grumbling, a lot of criticism about the fact that the Greek government has only been able to sell out a shopping centre so far and not other assets. What do you say about that criticism?
I say that it's absolutely right. That for the last 2.5 years, as I said, we lost credibility by not acting as fast as we could, and we should actually. But the only thing I'm saying is that in the last 2 months, since we have a new coalition government, this government shows determined. The Prime Minister seems very willing to go ahead with this, so, and we only have signs. But the real action is the first deal that we did. It was in the schedule to be the first one, so it depends on when you have your beginning point that you start counting. If we count from the beginning of the crisis 2.5 years ago, then we're very late. If we start with a new government, then we're 2 months in this, and at least, as I said, and I hope I'm right, I really hope I'm right, I see a new face on the government.
What's the confidence like of Greek companies at the moment? Your own company, LAMDA Development, last made a profit back in 2009. When will you get back to profitability? And what are your concerns regarding that issue?
Look, we are a real estate development company, so our profitability is coming from two areas. One is the cash flow operating results that have to do with the performance of our assets. We have shopping centers mainly. And the other one, the other factor that affects our profitability is the valuation, which is an accounting number, the valuation of our assets. Of course, it's an important one, right? The performance of our assets has been doing pretty well even in these 3 years of the crisis. We are down only 3% from our peak performance to 2011. What makes our loss is the accounting losses on our assets due to the valuations that have to do with the yields on the bonds of Greece, which, as you know, have gone down the tube. So, having said all this, I think that psychology has a lot to do with this. If we pursue the international investors who are going to stay in the euro, in the eurozone and in the euro, because this is the biggest factor that affects us negatively, I think we're going to come back to better values for our assets. If we don't do this, then I think we have many bad years ahead.
What do you think the chances are for Greece to remain in the eurozone then? 50-50 at this stage, or are the odds worse than that?
I'm going to believe that they are better than 50-50, and I'm saying this because we see a change from Europe in the way I think Europe is trying to give another chance to Greece. I think the ball is in our court to a great extent, because if we go ahead with the reforms we need, if we reduce the public sector, if we give the motives and the right tools to the private sector, that, by the way, is doing very well in Greece, even compared to international standards. If you look at the private debt, it's less than the average benchmark of international debt. The problem with us is that we have a large public sector and we have a climate against private investments. So the ball is in our court. Even in the next 3-4 months, we show that we mean what we are saying. I think we're also going to see international investors being attracted to a country that is full of opportunities. Prices of assets are low in Greece now because of the crisis. We have areas we don't take advantage of, like the tourism, like alternative sources of energy, like agricultural output. We have many areas. Unfortunately, Greece has rich in terms of opportunities and poor in the ways we manage our country.
But some economists say that it would probably be a better idea for Greece to exit the eurozone at this stage. It would get its own currency back, and it would be able to devalue that currency, for instance. You don't seem to be of that opinion.
No, and I'll tell you why. If I talk like an economist, I would say yes, there are pros and cons in having your own currency. You devalue it, you have more flexibility, depends on how much you import and how much you export. you can see what the right balance is. Greece, though, has the problem of importing most of our stuff. So a devalued currency probably will not benefit the economy except for the tourism, of course. But the real problems we have do not have to do with the currency. We used to have drachma, our local currency, up to 10 years ago, and again we had problems. And the problems have to do with the fact that although, as I said, we have many areas of opportunities, we run like a state monopoly, like a state economy. This is the big problem. We have, for example, 12 million tourists. We will have easily more than 20. You see small cities in Europe and they have 2 and 3 million tourists. Greece is very rich in this. We have solar energy. We have 300 days of sun in Greece, and we don't even have more than 3 golf locations. We don't have developed big touristic residential areas, and we don't take advantage of solar energy. I mean, what more can I say? We have many foreign investors who come here. They have a perception of a country that is in fire, and after a week they leave and they say, how can this country be poor when you have so many opportunities, such a good location, such a good climate?
All right.
That's the truth.
Odysseus Athanasio, we're going to have to wrap it up there. Thank you very much indeed for speaking to us once again. And thank you to you at home for watching France 24. If you want to